After I joined, they called a meeting and made it clear to everyone that discrimination was not allowed.
In
the future, I want to see a federal democratic system in this country, one that treats everyone equally, no matter their skin color or race.
The Spring Revolution promises a future democratic Myanmar with equal rights for all. Some Muslims are risking their lives for that goal, despite having been disappointed in the past. Hello and welcome to Doh Athan, a weekly podcast about human rights stories from Myanmar. It's brought to you by Fondation Hirondelle. This episode is produced by a Doh Athan journalist. Names and voices may have been changed to protect contributors.
I can't even put into words how I felt when the coup happened. I was worried about what the consequences would be. Then there were protests, and eventually I went to the mountains where I saw people fighting back, so I decided to join them in the jungle. I wanted to join because we have been oppressed by the soldiers since we were young.
Comrade Zahid is part of an armed resistance group in Chin State. The 25-year-old is from Upper Myanmar, and he was in the third year of university when the COVID epidemic broke out. Classes were suspended, so he helped out in the family business. But he planned to resume his studies, and he had dreams of working for the Red Cross. After the military staged a coup in February 2021, he joined protests and then took up arms. That decision to resist has changed Doh Zahid's life and also had a major impact on his family. His parents had to sell their house quickly and lost money on the deal because they were being watched closely by local informants or dalan.
Our neighborhood has a lot of insiders, including retired soldiers, so they wanted to get out as soon as possible. My dad said he wouldn't let them confiscate the house. Now, my mom and dad can't even live together in the new house because they're a bit scared. My dad stays in one place and my mom in another. It's much more of a financial strain for them than before.
Doh Zahid's story is not unusual. Thousands of young people have joined resistance forces. Many of their families have been negatively affected. But Doh Zahid is the only Muslim fighter in his group. However, he's not the only Muslim fighting with the resistance. The National Unity Government doesn't keep account of the numbers, but Naporn Lat, spokesperson for the Prime Minister's office, says they play an important role in various fields.
When
it comes to the roles of Muslims, many are actively involved in the revolution in any way they can. They've been part of the uprisings, conflicts, anti-dictatorship resistance, and democracy movements for many years. I want to emphasize that their involvement and contributions are incredibly important and valued.
Comrade Mee Lay is also in an armed resistance group. She comes from the Delta region and is now fighting in the dry zone. She had to take a break from high school during the COVID-19 pandemic. She worked as an accountant and lived quietly with her family. But when the coup happened, she joined the demonstrations with her siblings and other Muslim friends.
I was there at the protests from day one until the very end, along with my friends and siblings. We stood together with our Bamar friends, brothers and sisters. All the young people were involved, and I knew I had to be too. I couldn't stand seeing our country taken away so unfairly. When they started torturing civilians, that's when I decided to join the PDF.
Mee Lay is only in her early 20s and wants to be a singer and actress. But for now, she's put those dreams on hold while she risks her life on the front lines. She's well known on TikTok and currently uses her celebrity to ask people to donate to the resistance. Her revolutionary determination comes despite, or perhaps due to, the fact that she and other Muslims have not always been treated equally in Myanmar. For example, while most citizens can get a national registration card, or NRC, from the age of 10, Mee Lay has tried and failed.
They said I couldn't get one because I'm Muslim, so I had to go somewhere else to try. But I still haven't managed to get it. It's really disheartening. I'm a citizen living in Myanmar too, you know, but it seems like there's nothing I can do except feel sorry when I face discrimination.
Doh Zahid has also faced discrimination throughout his life. Some of the worst cases were when he was at university. When Rohingya extremists carried out small-scale attacks in Rakhine in 2017, there was a wave of anti-Muslim sentiment, and the military committed serious war crimes against the Rohingya. Even though he lived far away from Rakhine, Doh Zahid became a target for violence.
When I was in university, when we went to the mosque, especially during the special days, if we were still wearing our skull caps on the way back from the mosque, we were stopped on the road and we were cursed at and sometimes even faced physical violence. It's really sad and honestly kind of scary sometimes, you know? But I can't help it, can I? It makes me feel small and insecure being discriminated against just because of who I am, my race, my religion.
But neither Doh Zahid nor Mee Lay have faced this kind of discrimination while fighting alongside comrades of different ethnic groups and faiths in the resistance forces. Doh Zahid is fighting alongside many Christian Chin, who've also faced discrimination in Myanmar. And Mee Lay says both her PDF leaders and peers accept and respect her.
After I joined, they called a meeting and made it clear to everyone that discrimination was not allowed, laying down some rules. Even the cook knows that I am Muslim, so she makes sure to cook my food separately. Here, we have guard duty. If the Salah time and guard duty time conflict, they ask someone else to swap with me so I can go and pray.
Bo Swam is the commander of the 28 Battalion PDF in Yinmabin in Sagaing Division. There are Muslims in his battalion, but he says religion is irrelevant in this fight.
There are 4 major religions, but this is not about religion. This is a revolution against tyranny. No one should bring in religious hatred. Since religion is not relevant here, everyone is free to follow his or her own belief and work with a good conscience. Whether you're a Buddhist or Christian or Muslim, what's important is that we stay united for the revolution.
But discriminatory attitudes don't always change, even on the Spring Revolution side. Doh Athan has experienced this firsthand. He's a Muslim and a political analyst who taught at Yangon University. After the coup, he joined the civil disobedience movement and then fled to the border to evade arrest. He runs the Spring Revolution Myanmar Muslim Network. His network has been trying for 3 years to join the National Unity Consultative Council, or NUCC, an opposition alliance of political groups, ethnic armed groups, and civil society organizations. But it's been rejected, and he feels this is due to discrimination.
Some said they can't accept us because we have 3 different groups. But having 3 different groups in our Myanmar Muslim community doesn't mean we're fighting each other. The Karen community has different groups, right? And so does the Burmese community. Am I right? Reflecting on this, in my view, the NUCC and NUG themselves have a discriminatory mindset, unwilling to acknowledge us.
U Situmang is a Muslim MP elected in 2020 who serves in the CRPH, the Parliament in Exile, which plays a leading role in the NUCC. He says before they join, members have to accept and implement the Federal Democracy Charter drawn up by the NUCC. He says some Muslim groups have not accepted the charter, which enshrines the values of the opposition movement.
Our union values include diversity, mutual recognition, social harmony, and unity in our differences. Eliminating discrimination based on race, religion, language, culture, disability, or gender is also described in the Charter.
Muslims have been involved in shaping Myanmar's history for centuries, not just in the current Spring Revolution. Since the time of the ancient kings, there have been Muslim civil servants. They've also played a part in Myanmar's struggle for independence and the fight against military dictatorship since then. When it came to power, the National League for Democracy did little to include or protect Muslims. And yet people like Doh Zahid are still hoping that this time they're helping to bring about a true, inclusive and representative democracy in Myanmar.
Even with all the discrimination against Muslims, I don't let it get to me, because the country was under military dictatorship for so long, and people might have been brainwashed. I hope we can change things for the better in the future. I believe so. In the future, I want to see a federal democratic system in this country, one that treats everyone equally, no matter their skin color or race.
Thanks for listening to this edition of Doh Athan. We'd welcome your feedback on social media. This project on human rights reporting is supported by Fondation Hirondelle with the help of our donors. You can listen to our podcast via the Doh Athan Facebook page. They can also be found on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes and Spotify. You can also listen every Saturday night from 9 to 10 p.m. and Sunday morning from 6 to 7 a.m. on Voice of America Radio. Please tune in again next week.